What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Muzzle Broke channel, and today we're keeping with our Christmas theme, and we are going to talk about the top 3 guns that I personally would want for Christmas. We're going to go through the top 3 guns that I've kind of been oogling and ogling and eye-banging for the past 12 months, and I'm sure no one will get these for me, but I thought it was kind of a fun little idea to go through and kind of talk about 3 of the guns that I would really enjoy to have, and I also kind of want to hear from you guys down in the comments as well. What are your top 3 guns you're looking at right now? Everyone's going to have a little different opinion, and you may not agree with my list at all. So, starting at our number 3 choice, y'all know I had to put an AK on this list, and that is going to be the Palmetto State Armory Crank-Off. So, if you've watched the channel for any length of time, you kind of know I'm a pretty big AK nerd. So, when PSA dropped the teasers for the Crank-Off years ago, I got super excited. Prior to PSA developing the Crank, it was a pretty hard AK variant to obtain within a reasonable price point. And that kind of just made me want one even more. Now, I've been thinking about getting one for quite some time. I just, I haven't quite pulled the trigger on it. Had some other stuff come up and, you don't care about my life. But it's still absolutely a gun that I would love to get for Christmas. I know PSA actually recently came out with the Crank-Off in the 300 Blackout variant. And if I'm being totally honest with myself, that's going to be the more practical variant of the Crank-Off. 300 Blackout is going to do great ballistically out of a shorter barrel when compared to 5.56. I think as far as a practicality self-defense gun, the PSA Crank chambered in 300 Blackout would probably be the better option. Now, for me personally, when I get one, because I'm sure I will at some point, I think I would definitely go with the 5.56 variant with the custom JMac furniture. Now, don't get me wrong, I absolutely love the look of the old school Crank, and I kind of go back and forth between the JMac furniture or maybe like that gloss plum and like SPR and adding that like real crappy triangle folder stock and just really kind of giving some like old school Crank-Off vibes. But I recently was at the range with my buddy First Shot Tactical, and he's got the one with the JMac custom furniture, and I kind of just fell in love. Having that custom furniture and these rails really allows you to get a little bit more high speed and kind of add some more optics and attachments a little bit easier. Now, as far as why I would want the 5.56 variant specifically, there are a couple of reasons for that. To be honest, I think the biggest reason is going to just be the cost of rounds. I have a 300 Blackout AR. It is very kind of like a purpose-driven rifle for like self-defense and hog hunting as well, so I did kind of want that bigger round. And it's not like the rounds are like super crazy expensive, but 300 Blackout's just about double the cost of 5.56. And for me, I'm going to want to shoot the hell out of this Crank-Off. It's not going to be a self-defense weapon. It's not going to be like a fighting rifle. For me, it's going to be a fun little range toy that I can take to the range and just go hard. I have shot the PSA Crank chambered at 5.56, and it is incredibly light recoiling, and it is just a ton of fun to shoot, especially with that JMac version, because it does come with that ALG trigger, so it really allows you to shoot that sucker fast. Even with a super short barrel, the recoil impulse of that 5.56 round is pretty much non-existent. It's a super low recoiling gun that's just an absolute ton of fun. Again, the 300 Blackout would be a little bit ballistically superior and would suppress a little bit better, but for me, I want to rock the 5.56 Crank just because I want to shoot it, I want to run it, and I want to have some fun without breaking the bank. So speaking of not breaking the bank, that is going to bring me into my number 2 gun that I wish I could get for Christmas, and that is going to be the Thesis 1911 World War II replica. So, kind of an odd choice, I'm not going to lie. It's not super new, it's not super high speed, and it's definitely a very old design. And I do have a 2011 in the collection, and 1 or 2 other 1911 kind of variants. Personally, I don't have a true 1911 old school vibes chambered in 45 MCP. Now, there are definitely some super nice high-end 1911s on the market, and the Thesis is not necessarily going to be one of those. But for me, I saw it and I kind of like fell in love with the old school vibes of it. I mean, it is a true, like, U.S. Army reproduction clone. Now, it's not optic ready, it doesn't have a super high capacity, it's not the most high-end, high-quality parts, but from the reviews I've read on it, it shoots pretty darn well. And it is actually an incredibly budget-friendly gun. I just checked online, and at Palmetto State Armory, you can actually get this gun for $300, which is, like, actually kind of crazy. There are not many guns that you can get for $300 or $400. So even after buying the gun, tax, and doing an FFL fee, you're still going to come in under $400. And to add a 1911 to my collection, that kind of old school vibes for $400, I think to me would be absolutely worth it. Now again, this list isn't incredibly practical. This isn't the best guns in the world or the best fighting weapons or the best self-defense weapons. These are just kind of 3 guns that I've been wanting. So this one definitely makes the list. I would love to add a classic old school 1911 to the collection. And that is going to bring me to my number 1 gun that I wish I could get for Christmas. Now this one is incredibly unreasonable, incredibly impractical, but it's incredibly fucking badass. And that is going to be a 50 caliber Desert Eagle handgun. Now, why the hell do I want a Desert Eagle? Well, my question for you is going to be like, why do you not? Have you not seen the Predator movies where they're all rocking the Desert Eagles? And who doesn't want a 50 caliber handgun? I mean, the thing is like a legit hand cannon. Now, obviously, this gun is pretty unrealistic in a sense where there's not really too big of a practical purpose for it. The gun itself is incredibly expensive, and the rounds are also incredibly expensive. The model that I've kind of picked out for myself is that mainly black model with like kind of the gold fringe to it, and it just looks real sexy, real smooth, and I would just absolutely love to have it. Now, the 50 caliber rounds that this guy takes are also incredibly expensive, usually rocking over $1 or $2 a round. So overall, it's a pretty impractical range toy that also kind of comes with a pretty impractical amount of recoil. That being said, I still think it's a super sick gun. And who doesn't want to go to the range and shoot a Desert Eagle? Now, there are some cheaper Desert Eagle options for sure. You can get some of the basic models chambered in 357 Magnum or 44 Mag that are a little bit less expensive, and the rounds that they would shoot would be a little bit less expensive as well. So that's a very viable option if you kind of wanted just a Desert Eagle to have in the collection. Now, for me, if we're going to do it, we're going to go balls to the wall, and we're going to do it right. We're going to get a pimped out gold Desert Eagle chambered in 50 cal so I can really break my wrists whenever I get to shoot it. Although it's a pretty impractical range toy, I think if you have the money or if you find a good deal on one, because for some reason people are always selling these, it's almost like it's an incredibly expensive and impractical gun. But you might be able to find it pretty darn cheap. So I'll definitely be on the lookout on Gunbroker and at the local gun shows to see if anyone's selling one for the low. But I think out of these three, that would just be the most fun gun to have, put on a shelf, take to the range, show off, and just be a jackass with. Anything that's kind of big, loud, short, and obnoxious, kind of like myself, I do really tend to enjoy. So what do y'all think of this list here? We got the PSA Kring, we got the TSIS 1911, and we got that gold Desert Eagle. I think they're all some pretty awesome choices, but let me know down in the comments which of these guns is your favorite, which do you like the least, which do you think is the worst to have on this list. And if y'all have a couple of top guns that you're looking at, either getting for Christmas or hopefully haven't had bought for you for Christmas, let me know down in the comments. I'm always curious to see what tickles y'all's fancy. Party boys, if you like this kind of stuff, please hit the channel with a subscribe. It would really fill me full of the holiday spirit. Y'all have an absolutely Merry Christmas. Spend some time with your friends, spend some time with your family, tell your mom you love her, and stay tuned for the next video. Thanks, y'all.